Today is August the 2nd, 2020. This is the Service Hero Show, 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. My name is Tamara Hunter. I am your host, and this is the show that has inspiring stories of those inspiring others. So let's do this. Well, there I am. Where is my guest? I had some issues right now with the buttons here. So give me a moment, guys. You know, it's streaming live and it is always fun. Here we go. We have our guest now, Beverly, who is not only a guest, let me tell you, she is a nominated service hero, one of our friends of the show. Actually, she helps us with the show, and you could call her even a sponsor of the show, Andrea Adams-Miller of the Keep Smiling movement and the Red Carpet Connection. Got a hold of me and said, Tamara, you've got to highlight and honor Beverly Ziemet, that she is absolutely a woman that is doing work and is out there serving others and has a story that will truly inspire. And as I've done my homework, I am absolutely seeing that we are going to make that case today. And by the end of this show, you will all agree that Beverly is indeed a service hero. So let's get to it. Beverly, so happy you're here with us. And as we continue on, I'm going to recognize also those that come to the show and say hello. So we have got Ariel. Ariel Zazar, she's actually one of our volunteers and one of our buddies over at the Buddies for Life. Chemo Buddies for Life, yes. And we have the ambassador of the chat, the very first ambassador of the chat, one of my buddies, Helene Wilson. Helene, good to have you with us. And they are already doing what they do. They do chat with each other, and I love it. All right. So, Beverly.
Yes.
You are a fascinating woman, as I was finding out about you. And in fact, you were educating me before we went live about what it is that you are able to do. And I was thinking, okay, it almost as though, because a group of us have been getting up in the morning and we've been walking and getting moving for this latter part of the year, right? And it almost is like we were talking about, I think it was either this morning or yesterday morning, we were saying, if you had a magic genie in a bottle that could, produce a magical wish, what would it be? And when I was talking to you and I'm thinking, oh my golly, you are better than a magic genie in a bottle. Yeah, because of what you can do. And so let's go into it. That you are a best-selling author. You are you get on the stage. You speak inspirationally. You have your own show. You're doing all these other things, but you really started because of a life journey, right?
Yes, I did.
So let's talk about that. You were saying back a few days ago.
Yeah, quite a few days ago, actually, I've been on the planet a long time, let's put it that way. And I was a rebel from the beginning, and I ended up getting married. I had 3 kids, one right after the other. I come from a family of 11 kids, second oldest, and I lost my identity from that day forth when I got married. It's just like all of a sudden I began losing myself. After 4 years into that, I was not living my dream. I was not going to follow my mother's footsteps and have 11 kids. I was in a dead-end marriage. I went into it because of my rebel me, so that's another story. But, I lost my identity because all of a sudden I became, so-and-so's wife, so-and-so's mother, oh, the girl that writes for the newspaper, oh, this, oh, that, all by association. And it's like, wait a minute, who am I? Right? And so I set out one night. Actually, I was going to end my life because I was just not where I wanted to be at all. And I decided I'd give God a piece of my mind. Later on in life, I find, I wasn't yelling at God, I was yelling at my higher consciousness. But back then in 1974, which is a long time ago, it was so much anger that I had. And, coming out of that, and I had always been very intuitive, as a child. I didn't know that's what it was. I just knew getting picked on and teased a lot for being small, it was my way of getting even, right? I could convince people to do anything and everything, and I could disappear and get them in trouble. So,
we're seeing the rebel come out. Yes, we are.
Yes, I was a very good little instigator, and I think that gives me the opportunity to be a good strategist at this point in my life, right?
Now you're on the other side, and you can also, I bet, see through those that are like, oh yes, okay, let's get to the real.
Yeah. So when I started paying attention to that inner voice again, that said, well, who's going to take care of your kids if you're not around?
Right.
Well, they were all under the age of 5, and it's like, well, crap, that means I gotta stick around, because I heard my dad's voice say, if you're going to have these kids, you're going to have to take care of them, because your mother and I aren't going, we got enough of our own. Well, there was 11 of us, right? And I'll have I was 21 when I had my first child. So it's not like I was 14 or 16 or something like that. I was 21. And, and then I started living my life for me and my kids, because I had given what I thought God at the time, this list a mile long of where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do and where I was going in life, and so let's make a deal. And the voice just says, okay. That was easy, right? So I started living my life for me and my kids, figuring out how I was going to get out of Iowa, out of this dead end marriage, and really start living my dream, but not letting my kids have to take the brunt or suffer for anything. And so the 4 of us, my 3 kids and I, we decided, we grouped together, we came together, and I was open with them as to what was going on and why we were leaving. We moved from little farm country Iowa to Denver, Colorado. Yeah. And that's when my journey, I guess, started really taking a big turn, because at that point I was introduced to some people who could help me understand what my intuition, what that psychic ability was. But I was still kind of on this mission that, I was gonna make sure that nobody got the best of me. I was gonna get the best of them first, so to speak, and thinking I had to prove myself to everybody. So there was still that real hard push until I finally understood there was a balance. But I started my own business in the automotive industry, where I was selling sandpaper to body shops.
What? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, time out. Okay, okay, yeah, I got my easy button, and I'm now taking it back, because sandpaper from for body shops. Okay, and okay, so it's the 70s. You leave small town USA. You go to Denver, Colorado. Beautiful area, by the way. Love that area. Okay, so you go there. You're growing up with the kids, and you have to make a living. So you think, okay, I'm going to make a living. How in the world did you come up with sandpaper for auto shops? For painting. I'm thinking, okay, I can think outside the box all day long, and on Sundays twice. And yet I'm thinking, I don't even know many people would even have that on their radar. So how did you come up with that?
Well, I actually, when my youngest daughter finally started kindergarten, right, and the 2 boys were in school, and she started kindergarten, I started pumping gas in this little town that we lived in. of 100
Okay.
people counting cats and dogs. Okay, right? And well, and my dad had me climbing inside of combines and things when I was like 4 years old,
Okay.
putting things together, with a schematic. I had a screwdriver and pliers or whatever I needed in the part, and he was telling me how to do it inside this combine. So I kind of had that mechanical whatever.
Okay.
And
Right.
so when I was pumping gas, I was bored just pumping gas, and so I started changing tires and changing oil just on my own, right? And then
Okay.
the salesperson coming from, it was called B&D Automotive, right, where we'd buy our little pieces and parts, for the automotive. We did a little mechanical work and stuff, and he just kind of took me under his wing, and he goes, when you're done here, he says, I want you to come and work for me. I want you to work in the parts store with me, right, and be an outside salesperson. And I said, well, I wouldn't do anything until after the summer, because then my kids would be in school full time.
Right. Right.
And so I did. And I built up his outside territory, like 800% in just the few months that I started working for him. So I had a territory that I drove like 100-mile radius, every day, and stopped at all different shops. But that was mechanical.
Right. Okay.
And then I moved to Colorado and wasn't sure what I was going to do. I started working in a carpet store, actually, because I could do invoicing. And then I saw an ad, for outside sales in automotive, but it was sandpaper. And I said, sandpaper can't be that much different than parts, right? And so I started there, as an outside sales commission, and built up a really good territory. The guy was kind of not a very good boss, let's put it this way. He takes my territory after 3 months of building this territory up really strong, and he gives it to this, well, we won't go into details. He gives it to this other person, let's put it that way, right? Which, a little redheaded Scorpio, you don't want to upset her when she's a rebel, right? Let's put it that way. It's like, no way am I going to just hand my territory over, and then you want me to go out and start another one, and I lose all my commissions? So I was dating a guy that said, the guy is a jerk, so let's just start your own. It's like, okay, I'd been in business for myself before, but nothing this, big. And he says, I'll give you the money to start. He gave me $1,000. Now, this is back in like 1981.
Okay. All right.
And so he gives me $1,000 to start this business, right? Okay. And so I tell all my clients that I'm going to be doing this, right? And they said, okay, go for it. We'll follow you. Every single one of my clients went with me.
I'm not surprised.
Because I had built that know, like, and trust. Right now, back in that day, women were not in the automotive industry. There was no women out there. I met 2 women. One was a painter and one was a body girl, right? That did the body work on the cars.
Right.
That was it, right? And so here I was really making waves, and I was a wagon jobber, meaning that I carried all my supplies in a truck.
Okay.
Right. But I started in a little AMC spirit. Seriously. So I'd call them up in the morning, right? And I'll say, what do you guys need? And they tell me, right? And I'd run down to the warehouse and I'd get it. And then I'd deliver it and get paid for it. And then I'd do the same thing over again. And one of the dealerships, the guys in the dealership, he goes, Beverly, you got to have something more than that little car. He said, we just took in this big station wagon, right? And he said, I can get it to you for $400. We'll fix the fender on it. Runs perfect, right? And he said, well, just trade out sandpaper. Perfect, right? Wow. And so that's what I did. But in oh gosh, it was less than a year, I was at 6 figures in that business.
And that is in the early 80s.
That's in the early 80s. And my competition was, there were 4 major paint stores in town that had been there, some of them between 30 and 50 years already. Right? That was my competition. Right? And so it was great. Now, I didn't sell paint, but I started with the sandpaper, and then I went to tape, and then I went to anything and everything that you could think of that a body shop would need. I started selling. And then I got bored, so I went in the nuts and bolts and clips. And then I got bored again, so I knew engine overhaul kits and stuff because I could tear an engine apart, plane heads, and do all that stuff, right? And it's like, okay, I started doing mechanics because there was some of both, and a lot of times there was a mechanic shop right next door to the body shop, right? And so I started getting engine overhaul kits for them, and I never had to stock one piece of equipment from the people that the warehouses I was buying from, because I don't know, I just had a knack, and I said, I don't have $100,000 to put into that, and they said, just give. I went through a business down in Colorado Springs that really liked what I was doing, and so they said, we'll just put you on as a sales rep for us. All you got to do is call in, and I'd call Seal Power and TRW, right? They'd have the stuff sitting on the counter for me to come. Then I got into racing parts. Nobody gets racing parts. Well, this little girl got racing parts. I mean, and then I went into the details. So in like 9 years, I expanded this business from selling sandpaper into everything automotive you could possibly think of. And I had two other girls out there with me. We were known as those girls.
I love it. Those girls.
And we all had big trucks. They were all painted purple. Okay, so it was like a light lavender with dark purple stripes, right? And we had orchids on the side of the doors. We had hot pink, accent. It was BZ Distributing. They were gorgeous. They were gorgeous trucks, and yeah, that.
So okay, you your kids had to then be, by the time all this was going on, they had to be pretty much grown or close to.
Well, they were 8, 9, and 10 when I moved to Denver. They were 8, 9, and 10. Okay. So they were with me all through this. These 9 years, and my oldest one had just graduated when I moved to Vegas, and then I started my business down there, but just with the detail. But what took me into, really started finding my identity and started to do a lot of metaphysical things. I was getting into stones and crystals, but I was doing a lot of counseling with the guys in the shops, because they were, it was like, they'd come to me, Beverly, you're a woman. I said, well, thank you for noticing, right?
You're in an industry that you're an anomaly.
Yeah.
And playing off of it with your trucks and everything. Oh
I was. But it was the basis for my counseling, and coaching what I did, because they would say, my girlfriend or my wife, this is what's going on. And it's like, there was some major problems. So I'd give them advice. I'd say, okay, this is what she's asking for. Just go do this, this, and this. And I'm serious, Tamara. They looked at me like deer in the headlights. Like, are you kidding?
I'm sure. Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. It's like, seriously? And I said, yeah, seriously. He said, what do you got to lose? Is what you're doing working? Well, no. I'll tell you what, let's make a deal. You go try it. And then when I see you next week, you can tell me, I told you so. Or I get to say, I told you so.
I love it.
So guess who got to say, I told you so?
I'm sure. It's just like, so what I'm seeing here is a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern because you are not afraid to take on the unique and unusual, if you will. Let's just put it that way, because of the fact that, and then you can make it work for you. And then you're able to be successful with it. And that leads into what it is that you're doing now beautifully, because of the fact that, and it's making a lot more sense now in listening to all of this. Identity revelation
specialist.
And you have a network around it also. So you were able to, like the magic genie in the bottle idea. Okay, so you were saying that you can help someone to have an identity revelation. Like you can spend time with someone, and in a very short time, you can help to pivot or redirect or reframe or reverse or whatever it may be someone, and so that way they can then start living in their purpose. And that in itself, I, I, well, let's just say, let me ask the question: how long does it take you to do that? How long can you stay with someone to be able to do that?
Well, to start with, before we go really deep into the real heavy stuff, but to start combing away, all those little things that you're not, when you have a reaction, because we live in action and reaction, right?
Right.
And so what happens is you're on automatic pilot from your subconscious, right? And that's the stored memory of the baggage that no longer serves purpose. But when you created it, it was your protection. It's how you could deal with things. It was what your belief was at that time. And so the automatic pilot keeps on running. So when you're trying to change something, it doesn't want to change because the subconscious says, you remember way back when this happened? Are you kidding me? No, this is the way it's going to be because you said so, and it wins out all the time. So you're trying to clear away those things that you're not. So I put together a 5-step system. It's called the RARA system. So it's RARRA. So the first thing is you need to recognize that we have an issue, right?
Right.
And that issue might be procrastination. It might be fear of something. It might be anxiety, whatever it is. But you have an issue that you're looking to overcome and to change how you respond with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to acknowledge it. And you have to acknowledge that as being your truth. That's the key. So you have to think as your subconscious of being this little child. Right? So when you give a young child something, a toy or whatever, and they take it, right? It's like it's mine. And then you ask them to give it back. They're going to fight to the bitter end. You aren't going to get it. The subconscious is the same way. But if you converse with them, you say, you're right, they give it up. So the subconscious will give it up when you say, yep, you're right. That's the truth. And it says, oh, I'm right. Ha. Right? And it really is that simple when you start to communicate with that subconscious. Now you can say to the subconscious, yeah, that was our truth. And now it's kind of crazy. Let's get rid of it and get something new. Oh, okay. Because you can show them something bigger, something bigger and better. So you can go from this to this. Okay. So what does that little kid do? Say, all right, I'm in. Right. So it helps you to release that. And I take you through a little script, to release it from the cell memory, from the soul cell memory, and just move it out of the body. And now it creates a void. Well, if you know anything about science, does not like a void. Energy does not like a void. Because, when one thing moved over here, they found in science something else was moving over here, but they couldn't see anything in between. So we didn't think there was anything in there, where there was definitely something in there, obviously, right? So when you get rid of the stuff now that you're changing, that old stuff, that old pattern, you want to put in the new, and that's the replace. So you want to put something in like, hey, I'm happy, I'm loved, I'm successful, I'm, whatever the opposite is, I'm focused, I'm committed, you just kind of fill it up. And then you accept that, and you just give yourself a big hug and say, I accept this as my new truth. And it seals the deal. Right. Now, I do have a little gift, if this is okay, I can give to the audience here today.
Sure.
I can give you this RARA system. It will give you the details. And you can do this, and by the way, in 60 seconds or less. And when you get really good with it, you'll see that it's going to make a difference. And then, you can connect with me if you want to even get deeper into it. But you type in the words RARRA, so all capitals, bit.ly/RARRA. And that will get you to a page where you can get, it's just a little PDF with several pages in it that will detail out what each one of the letters are. And I'll have a script in there on how you can start to begin and make changes.
And so say it slower. so that they can get that information.
Okay, so it's Bitly.
Okay.
So it's BIT,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put your dot, LY /
Okay. And then
all
the
uppercase RA RRA. Rah rah.
uppercase. And so capitals, uppercase.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, love simple tools we can do ourselves. I agree, Kim. I mean, absolutely. And so that was the magic genie moment, because she's like, "Oh yeah, I can help within a minute." And I'm like, "Whoo, wowie, a minute."
Right.
That's
And
pretty.
it is pretty amazing when and again, it's like being consistent with anything. It's being consistent, because if you don't follow up with it and stay committed and consistent, all the information in the world isn't worth a dime if you don't put it into action.
Absolutely.
Right?
Without a question. Without a question. Oh, thank you very much, Kim. Thank you very much. So there we go. There it is. So you can get that PDF, the little PDF, and put it into practice and be able to rewire, if you will, some of the things that are going on inside of us. We all have that stuff,
Well,
and
that's exactly right. You are rewiring, the brain, so to speak, but through all the cell memory of the, if it doesn't serve you a purpose, get rid of it. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've been on the road since '97, and let me tell you, you don't have much space to collect anything. It's great,
You've been on the road since '97. Okay, so you've been on stages all over. You have been.
Right.
You have spoken with some of the big ones. Now you're doing the virtual reality. What is this virtual reality thing that you're doing? You're the co-owner of Digital Business International,
Right.
working in the virtual reality world, creating solutions to connect, engage, and empower entrepreneurs around the globe. Okay,
Right.
so
how does that work?
what is it?
Well, we're in a time period now where everybody's using this word virtual, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of gotten a bad rap, really. Virtual is, what we're doing here really isn't virtual. We're just live with each other.
Right. Right.
Virtual is outside of something that's different. Virtual reality is a reality outside of the reality that you're currently living in.
Right.
So virtual reality could be your dream world. Well, virtual reality that I'm working with is these little avatars. So if you've ever been in the gaming industry, you look at the movies, right?
Yeah.
Animation has been like huge for a lot of years.
Right. Well, yes.
Animation is nothing more than avatars.
So CGI type, the different, like, they have all of the computerized animation. That's not the drawing animation, it's the computerized animation.
Right.
And so you're talking that kind of digital animation, but outside of so virtual reality, because what I'm thinking of are like those goggles and stuff like that.
Well, yes, and that is part of the virtual reality world, is using the Oculus goggles and stuff like that. And what that does, it immerses you into it deeper, because it puts that 3D, 4D dimension in it, so it really looks real. The platform that we're using is really high tech, right? It's not little sticks and stone things. We're talking the graphics in here will blow your mind, and that's what you need. So the avatars that we're using, they look like little bodies running around. You can dress them up however you want them to look, and they become you running around in here, and you can converse. This is what's so cool, Tamara, because right now we are separated, right? The human was not meant to be isolated. We just weren't, right? And so there's been a disconnect all over the place. And now with all the Zooms going on and the lives going on, there's so much static. When you're
Right.
in the virtual reality realm, it removes the static, but it reconnects the person to the person. Because the mind says, oh, yeah, there's somebody right here. Okay. And so you're talking to them in the platform because there's voice in the platform. Your mouth is actually working, your little avatar mouth is going and everything. And so what we've done is we've used a gaming platform, took the game out of it, and we put in the business aspect. So we've got boardrooms for businesses, masterminds, or just wanting to sit around and have a conversation across the table. We've built actually virtual events, and that's what's happening now. So the events that we have, when you come into our event world, oh my goodness, you are going to see these absolutely beautiful booths. Your little avatar is going to be standing behind whoever booth it is, a big banner up here with your name on it. If you're an author, you got books. If you're a course writer, you got courses. If you're selling merchandise, it doesn't matter. All of that is in your little booth, and it's all clickable. So you just take your little mouse and you click on it, and it takes you to buy the book, to buy a t-shirt, to buy whatever it is that you're marketing. Right? And you're sitting there talking across the table as if you were in a convention hall.
Wow. Okay, I have some images. I don't know that you can see them, but they are from your and go ahead and look if you can see it, because I believe
Okay,
this
well,
is
let me look over here
exactly.
on the other side.
Pardon?
I said I have to come over here and look over here on the other screen.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's a little delayed, so in a moment you'll probably be able to see. I put up, I believe, because I didn't understand what these were, but now they're making sense because I'm thinking that's not you, but then that is. I see your picture here, and so
That's part of the event center. Exactly. Yeah, the
okay,
little one in the middle there with the purple hair, that'd be me.
that'd be you. Okay.
Right?
Right,
And
right. Okay, yeah, because I got another one that this be you too then, where
yeah,
you're standing in front of a large screen that looks like it's the ocean with the sun coming down and
right.
okay, so this is the
This
virtual.
this is the virtual event, and so we put the speakers up there on the board on the one that you're looking at, so you can see the names up there, and those are our speakers. We have this huge stage that you can get on, right?
Right.
And now you can call yourself an international speaker because we are global. DBI
Uh-huh.
is Digital Business International, which is global, right?
Wow. So are you actually doing these events right now?
Yes, we've actually had three. Our next event is going to be the last Saturday of the month. I believe it's August 29th is the last Saturday. And right now what we're doing is we're doing complimentary tables for people,
Oh,
right?
really? Uh-huh.
Yeah. Hey, I can give you all a link if you think you want to be a part of this, right? We would
Wow.
love to have you.
So you could set up your own little table with whatever it is that you're doing at this event.
Right. We
Where
set it. We do all the work for you. We do all the heavy lifting. We set it up to make all the clickables work. Uh-huh.
oh wow.
And if you
Okay.
want to be a speaker, hey, reach out. Comment
Wow.
below. Let me know. I'll get you information because I know the owners.
Yeah, you may. What? Okay, so where did this idea come from? Because it is absolutely incredible.
Well, that's another story. I'll tell you real quick. It was
You're
about
fascinating. You're fascinating. Oh my goodness. Okay, keep going.
it was probably like a year and a half ago. I was introduced to a gentleman called Robert Carlisle, right? And I told him back then, because he was real creative with different things, and I told him what I was looking for because he did a lot of stuff online. Is I wanted to do my events because I did live events, workshops and stuff on finding your identity, connecting with nature, and how to read, all the stuff around you that's part of your identity, right?
Right.
And so I wanted to do these. I wanted to do them online because people just weren't putting their butts in the seats anymore, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I said, okay, let's do this, right? And so I told him I wanted to do it virtually. And I used that word a year and a half ago, really not understanding what that actually meant.
Right.
So he showed me a virtual reality platform, and there were these little avatars jumping around, and it was space stuff, and it was, stuff. And I said, no, not going to cut it. I said, I need something that's going to look like, like a convention hall, where I could be up in front, there'd be a stage, people would be in their chairs, or they'd have tables out front, something, or sitting out in nature under a tree, in the meadows, and teaching, because I did a lot of my workshops outside as well,
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
well, this whole time went by, about a year went by, and in January of this year, he called me and said, I got an answer for you. I have your virtual event. And I said, okay, fine, show me. Oh my gosh, he takes me into the platform, shows me this huge university that he made up, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. And we went inside. There were classrooms, there was an auditorium, there was even a track out back that you could run around. I mean, it was like, now we're talking. Okay, we can do this. And it's like, whoa, okay, now I'm excited. And for anyone that knows me, I'll do anything once. And if I like it, I'll do it again. And then if I really like it, I'll be consistent. Okay. And so we started talking about it, and then I started sharing what it won and whatever. So we decided, why don't we start a business where we can bring people from all over the globe, together, and connect. And again, this was before the situation now. And so we put together it was like a BNI group or chambers group, where your lead generation type groups. So we put that together, and it's like, okay, so now we need to call it something. And so we called it Digital Business International, because hey, what? We're international.
Yeah.
And then that started working, and it kind of took me back to my sandpaper days. And it's like, oh, okay, let's see. There's got to be more to this than just selling sandpaper. So there's got to be more than this than just trying to put people, together in a network. And it's like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do a vendor event. And Robert goes, I have no clue how to do that. I don't even really know what they are. It's totally Greek to me. I said, that's okay. This is what we're going to do. I'll tell you everything about it and how to do it. You just got to build it, because he's the builder, right?
Right.
And so we put our heads together, and we built some of the pictures that you just saw, right? So we put together that event, and it's looking really good. And it's okay. Now we got to get vendors, because we were going to use it, for the people that came into the lead generation, because we had different chapters. Right. And it's, how do the other chapter members get to know each other, and how do we know, like, and trust and exchange, oh my gosh, I need somebody that can do this. I need somebody that can do that, so it's putting people together and connecting them. And so it's like, okay, now I need to find vendors. So we went out and started talking with people. My show is going really good. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hits. And we totally got inundated. All of a sudden, what we were doing was exciting a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
So there's been a lot of heavy lifting and stuff going on, but we've reached the point now where with all these different vendor events and stuff like that, and the things that are the stages and everything that we have available. And with the university, we have schools looking at us, because again, how are you going to keep these students?
Right. Because, right now it's so up. And in fact, the reason that I'm dating the shows right now, I used to number them. I date them now because of all of the changes daily lately. There's changes on, okay, is this open, or did they like, oh, just kidding, we got to close it again. Oh, just kidding, we're going to let you open it. And I was just reading one of my coaches that when I won the Impactor, the different coaches are, I have different ones from the United States and different areas of the world. One of them is in Australia, and I was just reading, and I had to reread it a couple times this morning because it was new, and it was okay. Now we're going back into 4, and and it had what was the requirements of stage 4 shutdown, and and all, and then I was looking up, it's like, you don't even know where to look. You don't know where in the world, because I do have people through our nonprofit. We are international, and then this show, it streams internationally. And so, we do have people from all over the place, and it is slightly different in just about every place, except for the one constant is that there is disruption. And it is upside down a bit. And so what you are saying is that something that came to you about 1.5 years ago saying, okay, what about, and how about, and let's look at, and then it's been evolving, now could be one of these solutions that universities, yes. I mean, I was just watching an article, a piece that was done about sports teams versus, the college teams versus college classes, and what's expected of the sports players to actually go and play, and yet they can't go to class. They have to do it online. And, and how is that all different? Well, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, well, the coaches probably wouldn't be excited about that track because that's virtual, right?
Oh, no, but they are. Let me tell you. Oh, Tamara, this is crazy. And this is, oh my gosh, they've known this for probably 20, 30 years. And they actually did studies on it where they took teams, and put them like in a meditation, right? And played the game in their mind for X amount of hours every day. Then they took another team and just did what they normally did. And then they took a third team and did half meditation and half out there, actually playing the game. Right. And they, physically. So they did that for, I think, 4 or 5 months. And then they put them on it was a basketball. So they put them on the basketball court. And the ones that just did it in their mind in the meditation outperformed the other 2 teams tremendously. Right. Because, well, come on. Hey, in your dreams, which is your meditation, you never miss. You never miss. Right.
Right. So your muscle memory is coming from this muscle here, right? Translating to these muscles that we use physically.
The mind is powerful. The mind is really, really powerful. Right. And when you start exercising in your mind, you start working out in your mind, and you really focus on that, your muscles begin to fire. And that's what science has proven. They hook you up with all the little wires and everything, right? And the muscles will start firing. So when you are in the university and you're out back and you're in a little avatar and you're running that track is a mile. And you start running that track in that little avatar, and I'm not joking, you're going to start feeling it in your body. So now you've got your workout right there. Right there.
Oh, you are blowing not only my mind, I'm sure others too. Guys, are you getting where we're going with all of this? And
okay. Let me take you to a different realm. This is the sports realm. Let's go back into that thought processing, and let's go into because we're working with entrepreneurs here, right? And speakers, authors. And what's the number one fear? The number one fear in the world?
Well, most people will say it's the fear of speaking.
That's right. They would rather die.
But they don't know me. So
they don't know me either. We're one of that 1%.
Okay.
So here you have someone who is afraid to get on stage and speak, but they have a message.
Right.
Now the mental health industry has been using the virtual reality for several years now with the Oculus glasses, helping people overcome fears and phobias and
I
anxieties and
have heard about it.
PTSD.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And in fact, I have heard that even insurance companies and such, they're recognizing
Yes.
this.
Yeah,
And
they're beginning to recognize
so,
it.
yeah, so it is accepted. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So
Uh-huh.
here you are now, someone who wants to get this message out, but you are petrified to be on stage,
Yeah,
for whatever those reasons are.
yeah.
Here are your little avatars on the stage. On this big stage. You saw it, right? This big stage. So you got this little avatar on there right now. And all inhibition, when you're in virtual reality, all inhibition disappears. I mean, just goes out the window. So now you're on this big stage and you're giving your story, you're telling your whatever, right? You are presenting. And I watched this happen with a real dear friend of mine who was just a nervous wreck. And she's used to speaking, but every time she gets on stage, she's a nervous wreck.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, when she was on that stage in virtual reality in her little avatar, and she was giving her talk, she lost track of time. She was so in it, and it was really quite interesting. You know how when you're in a room and you can like hear a pin drop?
Yeah.
Well, here we are. We're all sitting out here in our little avatars, watching her and listening to what she has to say. And I'm a people watcher, right? Doesn't matter if it's a person or an avatar. And it's like I could feel those little avatars in their real bodies, like they were just like sitting on the edge of their chair, just waiting for the next thing she was going to say, just waiting. And just like, it was so quiet in there. A lot of times you'll see an avatar run and jump over here when nobody moved. Right. And now she was supposed to have a 30-minute talk, and now we're at 45 minutes. Right. So I'm like, okay. So I like message her, I text her, and I said, Lynn, you're coming up on an hour, right? And she's like, she read that, she's thinking, oh my God. So then she starts winding down her talk, right? But it was so spot on. And it was just, and I mean, the information was unbelievable. So there are so many of you out there that have a message to get out. Here's your opportunity to get on an international stage. International stage, and give your message. And the more you do this in the virtual reality, the easier it's going to be for you, because you're building that confidence level up, that trust and belief in yourself. Your self-esteem goes off the charts. And now you can stand on a real live stage with real live people and not feel nervous at all.
So the speaker is speaking through the avatar.
Yeah.
Then the avatars that are sitting, their butts are in the chair. The avatar's butt is in the chair. But does that represent an actual live person that's watching?
Yes. Yeah. These are people that come into the event, and they're sitting there listening to the speaker. Just so as
how do they pick their avatar? Do they have a choice of different ones to make?
Yeah, when you come into the platform, you can grab an avatar, or once you do that, what we can do is we can build you an avatar that looks just like you. Yeah. Yeah, so you can have your facial, expression that looks like you. Yeah, for real.
That is incredible. I see that Andrea is here. Andrea Adams-Miller.
Yes, Andrea Adams-Miller. I met her, and she is just awesome. And a friend of hers, little boy, is 7, and we took him into this virtual reality world. We said, would you like to go to school here at the university? You should have seen this kid. He was off the charts, excited about it. Andrea actually got into our last event, and she had never been in an avatar before. It was all new to her. But I'm telling you, she was running around in there, jumping up and down. She went in.
She was the one that was running while others were speaking, probably. Okay, yeah.
It was interesting. I was like,
in red.
Yeah, she was looking. She says, I was looking for a red dress and I couldn't find it. Right?
Yeah, it has to be red.
But
okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Amazing. I want to get to this before we're done. And and my mind is just spinning. My mind is spinning that what you have discovered and created is absolutely 100% fantastic, and it takes that avatar to a whole nother level,
It,
because I mean, I was just having this discussion with one of my friends that nominated our service hero yesterday, Dr. Sonny Jackson, and she did a presentation about avatars, and I'm thinking,
well, it's coming up in the world, right?
there's a whole new game in the avatar plane.
Oh my goodness! And I'll tell you, we are really on the breaking of the ice with it. But I mean, I actually have a build in there where my show is, and I'm going to start doing my show live in there. So people that want to be a guest, they need to have their little avatar so they can sit with me on the stage in there. It's pretty wild.
How fun.
Yeah.
But right now you're actually doing shows with you live, right? So
they're on
the show, being the best that you can be, because you have that side of you that's your message,
right,
beyond avatars and such.
Right.
You get out there and you're helping people to understand that they can be the best that they can be. Finding yourself, of course, the fact that you're the identity revelation guru, let's put it that way. I mean, my goodness, avatar, I'm thinking whole new ways now. And you also, it makes so much sense now, everything that I discovered about you, because it was like, okay, how can you be, and I really didn't even get, I was looking, are those real people or not? I had to look there for a while.
Right.
At this, the stages and stuff, because I saw the signs in the back, and so that's why it was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Right.
You also you've written a number of books, and now does this come back from your farm days and everything? Because you are such an interesting person. You're fixing, farm equipment at 5. How tall are you? I'm going to ask that because you say you're short, or you say this little girl. How tall are you?
4'11 3/4. Don't forget the 3/4. It's important when you're under 5. Because I would say I'm 5 foot, and people say you're not that tall. I say, fine, 4'11 3/4. You want to get technical?
So. I love it. And so here you come up in your big trucks.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny when I would step out of this truck, because it was about. Don't like the ones that you see the big tool trucks driving around in, right? And people would see me step out of that, and you just see their heads, looking at you, and they go like this, right? Because here's this little short thing coming down out of this truck,
Well, there's a picture that I am going to grab, and it's the one, if it's all right, I'm going to share it just because it's going to give a perspective of how tall you are. You were dancing with someone, and this is from your page, and see.
Oh gosh, I was standing by Tony Robbins. Oh my goodness, it was crazy.
Okay, so see, guys, okay, so now you've got perspective of how you're a giant. You're a giant among us, and I love the fact that good things come in small packages, and don't ever underestimate anything, because oh my goodness,
well, they say dynamite comes in small packages too, right?
yeah. Okay, so we've got some business people that are starting to show up, and I'm glad, because you guys are going to want to watch this one again. And Hermilo and Sherry, senior ambassador, and we've got
just reach out, private message me if you want to be a part of this virtual reality world. Private message me, and we're taking groups into the platform so you can see it firsthand of everybody running around. Pictures just don't do things justice, right?
No, I'm sure they don't. However, my mind is blown with the pictures. So you had me at the pictures. Let's just say that. Some say you had me at hello. You had me at the pictures. I'm really fascinated Well, you know what I'm going to do, Beverly? I've been doing this recently, and I love this part of the show right now. Is that I'm going to take myself down from the line for just a few moments, and I'm
Okay.
going to give you an opportunity to leave like a nugget, an inspirational thought, something for a moment that you feel inspired to share, and then I'll come back up, and then we'll finish out the show.
Okay. All right. So I want to first off thank Tamara for giving me this opportunity to be on her show. This has been great. But for all you listening out there, live your life, because if you're not living, you're dying. Yeah. If you're not living, you're dying. So live it to the fullest. And just remember one thing: it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of you, it matters what you think of you. And that's being that best you that you can be continuously, right? So don't worry about what other people think of you. Just really think about you and the things that you want to be. Live your life the way you want to live it, not the way you think somebody else is going to tell you how to live it. You only have one go around, make it the best, right? And when you start moving away, you become that archaeologist, that self-discovery archaeologist. You brush away all the things that you're not. That's when you find that amazing you, because other people will see that amazing you long before you see it sometimes. And never give up. Never give up, and never be afraid to try something. It's not, is it going to be worse out there? It's going to be better out there, because you're going to think it's better out there, and you're going to make it better out there. And life is so adventurous and so much fun. So if I leave you only with one thought, just go out there and make every day a better day for you. What are you going to do today to become that best you that you can be? And there's room for improvement for every one of us. And I do that every day. So thank you all for listening. And if you want to be a part of this virtual reality world, the excitement it's crazy. Comment below, private message me and say, I want a table on that event. I want to be in there. I want to be on your stage. And boom, I promise you, I know the owner. I can get you there.
I love it, and thank you for the gifts and for the offer of being able to have a table. And you've been very generous today with everyone, and I want to recognize that on top of closing out today, August the 2nd, 2020, the Service Hero Show, 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. We mentioned it in the beginning, and yes, we have actually done it. We have made the case that you, Beverly, are a service hero. You are
Rah, rah.
so much for so many. Yes, rah, rah. In fact, that's one of the reasons you are a service hero. Rah, rah. And so much more. You are giving an opportunity for people to be able to live their best self. What you just shared right now, nugget, and what you have shared with what you have learned about being able to, find out who it is, our identity, who are we, and
Right.
be able to work through our identity, that tool, again, service hero. And then on top of it, the work that you've been doing over the last year and a half to give a platform for those people that have a message to share. They haven't felt comfortable to do it, and now there will be the means for them to. That, and again, is a service hero. Every which way you look, definitely Andrea Adams-Miller, you are right to have nominated Beverly, and we have made the case. Beverly, you are now a service hero. Thank you
Well,
for
thank
being
you.
here.
That's an honor. Can I put that up on my bio too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Some people actually do. And when I numbered it, they would put service hero number, what number they are. Now your service hero, August the 2nd, 2020. This will always be your day. You were honored today as today's service hero. Yes.
Well, thank you. And a big shout out to Andrea for giving me this opportunity. She is, she's an inspiration. She really is. And I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of work together. And one other thing too, Tamara, I want to mention is I'm putting together this huge event for anyone who wants to be a speaker, who already is a speaker, who wants to be on international stages. It's just going to be this huge event where you're going to get that opportunity, and you can pick your stage, because there's going to be a lot of different stages and different formats that you can utilize. And you can put this in your bio. You can put this up and say, yes, I spoke on this international stage. I spoke on this international stage. So stay tuned for that, because it's going to be wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's going to be revolutionary.
It is. We're not going to go back to the way the world once was. That's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Transformation has happened, not just a change, a whole transformation has happened. And right now we are really making a difference in the world, because with the separation in the avatar world, you are going to be able to communicate where there's no social distancing in there, because you can actually run into each other and whoop, pass through each other. It's fun, and we also have karaoke night in there. We have because you can dance your little avatars. Oh my gosh. And you can get up there on stage and sing, because we can do live karaoke, sit around a bonfire, we can climb a mountain, there's a lot of fun things. It's not just all about business, but it's about fun. It's about bringing community together. It's about connecting and uniting globally.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's awesome. You know what? Thank you for being here. Put all your contact information also in the chat and in the comments. And you know what? It's going to be very fun to be following and being a part of what it is that you are up to. And
you never know.
It is just beginning, guys. I can see it now. And then for the buddies, remember, it's game night. Tonight is game night. It's a fun night. It's a family night in the closed group. Join us at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Okay, see you there. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.